It is 6 o'clock. It is time to start the POP Baking Club. And we are the POPers, and you don't have to do anything to join this club. You just need to show up, tune in. Doesn't cost anything, and I am happy to have any and all levels of bakers because we are building a community that we can talk to one another. Chocolate lava cake. All right, everybody. We are here tonight. We are the POP Baking Club, and every Wednesday at 6 p.m. we get together and I lecture and demonstrate a recipe that you, the viewers, picked last week. And this week you chose chocolate lava cake, which is what I am ready to make. Right behind me are our scalings and my tools and some things down here. So I am all ready to go. But I talk about the ingredient function, how it all works together. I show you how to make it, I bake it, and then we talk about how to plate it, how to eat it, how to store it, things like that, all the way through. And if you want more information, I have notes that I take. I write these notes up, and you can follow along. You print these out. These are on my Substack. And I talk about maybe the history of the baked good that we are doing tonight, or what the formula is, ingredient function. I put in here a lot of information. Some of it's really technical, but some of it's just interesting. Well, real quick, for those of you who don't know, my name is Kathleen. I am a certified executive pastry chef, and I've been in the industry since I was 15. And I was self-taught until I was in my early 40s when I went back to school and I got a degree and a certificate in baking and pastry. And then I taught in person, and now I teach here on TikTok. And I literally give the same format of lecture and demonstration I would in person. So you can use these to learn how to be in the kitchen, learn about the importance of thinking like an ingredient, and understanding that time, temperature, and moisture are always the most important thing. We start with a recipe and what our desired outcome is. And then I will do a quick fit check, get ready, and we are going to start mixing this up. This is where we're going to start. We are doing the chocolate lava cake. So this is what the recipe looks like. This is the standard recipe. We all have a standard recipe. When you look in a magazine or you go online, that's your standard recipe. I have a 100% version of the recipe. It's the same. These two are the same. These are the grams, and then these are baker's percentage. The 100% is always flour. So all of these ingredients are based off of the flour. They never change. The chocolate lava cake, it was a cake that got really popular in the 80s, and then everyone decided it was passé. But the problem is that it's really, really good, even though it got really overly done. And what I mean is, you could go any restaurant you went into, it was on every menu, and I think people got sick of it. But what's wonderful about it is it's easy to make. You don't need a mixer. It teaches you a lot about emulsification. It comes together quickly. You can store it in the refrigerator and bake it to order, and it looks great, and it pairs well with really great, easy to find things like salty nuts or ice cream. So we are going to make the chocolate lava cake. It has a very tender but defined exterior. That is because it's a very quick bake. The inside stays soft, so when you cut into it with your fork or your spoon, it oozes out. A lot of people think it's a chocolate cake that's been underbaked, and it is not. It is specifically formulated to rise quickly, to stay very soft and tender, and to only get an exterior crust, almost like bread. The outside has the crust and the inside stays soft. I am going to be testing different bakes. You bake it anywhere from 8 to 10 minutes, and you bake it anywhere, depending on if you have convection or not, and I do not have convection, from 350 degrees Fahrenheit to 400. You are going to have to dial this recipe in. So I can't tell you exactly what temperature you are going to need for your oven or how long it's going to take. But the great thing about it is you can bake one at a time. That's what we're going to do tonight. All right, so now I'm going to do a quick fit check. All right, I'm going to go real quick into the other room, pull my hair back. I will be right back. And we are going to get started. Don't go away. All right, there we go. That's it. I like to be safe and clean in the kitchen, so I always wear a jumpsuit or something that won't get caught in my equipment, something that if in an emergency I can get off very quickly. I wear a clean apron, and I was thinking today, my aprons are not new. These are all very old. I keep them clean. I wear them once, and they cost $5, so I keep a bunch of them. No fingernails, they're very short, no nail polish, no jewelry. I pull my hair back, I have minimal makeup, and I wear work clogs because they're safe, they're non-skid, they're good for my feet, and I can also kick them off in an emergency. All right, so I'm gonna clean up my area and get set up, and then we are going to start putting this cake together. Chocolate lava cake. Got my notes here, this here. I always put my notes and things in one of the plastic top loading, and I just tape it with paint tape to the wall. That way I don't lose track of where I am. Get this party started. All right, so I'm gonna wash my hands really quick. I use fresh clean towels every time, and I sanitize the countertop. Even if it looks clean, I was scaling eggs earlier today, and I wanna make sure that whoever eats the food that I make is safe. So I just use a bleach towel real quick here, and we will go through the ingredients. These are my scalings. I did all of these yesterday, the things that need to stay cold. I pulled out today, like the butter and the eggs were in the refrigerator overnight. I pulled them out this afternoon so they could come to room temperature. I also pull all of my tools and put them on a tray. Anything I might need. This is the butter for lining the ramekins, pastry brush for doing the same thing. All my little tools that I'll need. I want them to be close by. And then finally, this is the cocoa I'm gonna need later, and then these are my ramekins on little trays, and I have 2 already set up with parchment, so I am all ready to go. All right, so here's what I do. I use tape to write out all my labels. The recipe on here has the amounts that you need, and I have them on the labels, and I scale everything in advance. And what that allows me to do is take a physical representation of what is on the recipe and verify that I have it right. Because sometimes all it is like, where's my ingredient? And you know you're missing it. Or you have another ingredient recipe on this tray, and that's a mistake. Or you look at it and you think, that doesn't look like 150 grams of butter. It does, but now here's what I want to tell you. I oftentimes use numbers on here that are not necessarily reflected in the ingredients, okay? So this is actually a slightly larger recipe than the one that is on the recipe. So you might notice the volume is a little different than your volume, but that's only because I'm doing a little trick. But trust me, I'm going by the numbers that you guys have, and we will all be the same. But if you're making it and you think, mine didn't make that much, that's exactly why. So let's start with butter. I have room temperature butter, 150 grams. I always use unsalted. Now when we talk about chocolate lava cake, we are talking about the epitome of emulsification when it comes to making a cake, okay? So we are looking at several things that happen with our ingredients. Butter has a lot of things in it. It has fat, water, and the proteins and things that live inside here have emulsifiers. This helps us get a cohesive mix, and fat is a flavor driver. So this fat mixed with the chocolate is going to give us a really nice flavor. We have 135 grams of chocolate. Now, I think the original recipe called for 61%, but the important thing to remember is you want a dark chocolate, but you do not want chocolate chips. Chocolate chips have emulsifiers that are different. They're chemically sort of extracted and do different things. So we want couverture. We want real chocolate. Mine is 58% point something. That's good enough. So if you just have a nice dark real chocolate, you're good to go. And then salt. And I just use a fine salt. And when you scale it out on a mini scale, which looks like this, you're not using teaspoons and stuff. It does not matter if you use sea salt or kosher. They weigh the same, and that's how you do it. So this is 0.5 grams, and that little bitty mini jewelry scale, the mini digital scale, can do 0.5 grams. And then I have 150 grams, I might have to shut the window, 150 grams of 10X, which is powdered sugar. Powdered sugar is obviously a sweetener. I don't have sucrose in this recipe. This is a lighter version. It's been ground or processed 10 times. It's been milled 10 times, so it's got a finer grain. It's just like if you took sucrose and put it in a food processor and ground it up, it would get powdery. But this also has 3 to 5% cornstarch in it, which is going to help dry out the mixture. And the sweetness is going to be good from the powdered sugar, but it's also going to dissolve much easier because this is a quick mix and we need quick dissolving, and we don't want larger grains of sucrose holding the cake down. And then we have our eggs, which is 150 grams of whole egg, right there, and 150 grams of egg yolk. Okay, and the last thing we need is 60 grams of cake flour. Cake flour has less protein in it than all-purpose flour, and cake flour is just the name. What you want to pay attention to is the protein percentage. So if you are looking at flours wherever you live, you want to look at anywhere between 8 and 10%. If you have to use AP flour, that's fine, but you cannot make cake flour by adding cornstarch to this. Corn and wheat do not have the same ingredient function, so they don't swap each other. You cannot make cake flour. So if you don't have cake flour where you live, I want you to find out what the protein content of your flours are and look around, because sometimes all-purpose flours are 9%. So find the percentage that's as low as you can find. Some are even as low as 7%, but you don't want to go above 10%, I would say, for this recipe. It's pretty important because we want to keep this cake very tender and we want the inside to flow. So we don't want to build a lot of structure. We want enough, but not too much. So I'm just going to put this over there because I always line my trays with the parchment, but then I use this to sift my ingredients. So it's a multi-purpose tool. What you did not notice in these ingredients is a chemical leavener. There are no baking powders or baking sodas. So the ingredients in this recipe have to give us leavening without a chemical leavener. So how do you do that? Well, one, you can whip air into something, but we are going to be doing this by hand, and we're going to be using a whisk, but not necessarily to aerate it. We are not going to be aerating this to the point where we are adding air. It is not like a sponge cake. So where are we going to be getting the leavening? In these ingredients. We are getting the leavening from the water that lives inside the butter, the whole egg, and that's it. The water is going to, at a higher heat, steam and push up the gentler ingredients. So if we had a bunch of heavy ingredients, heavy sucrose, a heavier, higher protein flour that doesn't absorb as much of the water and allow it to lift easier, that's what would happen. So these are ingredients, and then I'm going to get a couple of tools. I need a bowl. You know what I'm gonna do first? I'm gonna get my ramekins ready, because once I make this, I'm gonna do a couple and then I can come back and do more. So this is how I wrap my pastry brushes. And I like a natural pastry brush, and I like the width to match the job. And I've had this thing for 15 years, so I take very good care of it. I've done videos on how to take care of these. And I wrote on there fat, because this is specifically for fat. So I don't want sometimes for this to have oils in it, depending on what I'm doing. And I have soft butter. So I'm gonna do 2 ramekins. It's already getting cold. I'm gonna take a little bit of butter, and the goal with the ramekin is not that you want the butter to be even, you want it to be on every surface. The butter has to be on every surface, so you have to imagine if you're painting. You know how they say when you paint, it's better to do a couple thin coats than one thick coat? So we don't want this to be thick, but we also want every corner to be covered. So we want to make sure, so what I do is I get a little bit extra, and that would be too thick. That would be too thick. But that extra amount is going to make it so that I can get in all the corners, make sure everything is covered, including the rim. And then I want to take the excess off. So you have to kind of look at it in the light and think to yourself, have I gotten all of the ramekin? So right now I'm just going to do 2, because I think I'm going to start with 2 cakes. And then once I get them in the oven, I'll have a moment to get 2 more prepared. Now you can just butter. And I only use unsalted butter in my kitchen. I don't want confusion, and I can control the salt when I use just unsalted butter. But you can use butter, and you can do the chocolate lava cake without any other finishing in here, but I am going to add sugar. The sugar, you don't want to do this too far in advance, because obviously you don't want the sugar to pick up moisture and start to dissolve. Because what we want is for the sugar to be a little crunchy. I kind of like how it is on the outside of the finished cake. All right, so I'm not even going to add the sugar until later, but I can do this in advance. I have the butter in there. It's nice and even, it's clean, and these 2 are ready. So I'll put them over here. I'll put my butter back here. So then I need bowls. I'm going to start with melting. So this is the method. First of all, we're going to sift the 10X. Look how many lumps are in there. Okay, we need to sift the 10X, and we're going to sift the cake flour. Everything has to be light and lump free because we do not want to overwork the mixture, and we want an emulsion. And an emulsion is when two things that don't normally go together nicely. So if you start adding things that have lumps or doesn't incorporate because it's really heavy, you are going to have to work harder to get those things to go together. And we are paying attention to the temperature of these ingredients because we want them all to be similar and to be room temp, nice and warm. Because if you have cold butter and something else like egg, it's going to slosh around. Or you have warm, nice room temperature butter and you take a cold egg, it's going to do that. We want them to go together, and with every single step, we are going to build an emulsion by melting the fats, the chocolate and the butter with the salt together in here. We're going to get that going. That is not going to be lumpy. It's not going to be hot or overdone. We're going to gently melt it. I'm going to do it in the microwave, but you can do it over a bain-marie. Just make sure that you keep the moisture that lives on the bottom of your upper pan out of the mixture. And then we are going to mix the 2 eggs together to get them going. Rather than putting them in separately and just dumping them in, I'm going to add them together and get them going. That way we're one step closer to having everything be cohesive. And then we're going to add the sifted 10X in thirds, 3 additions, to gently add it in and make sure that at each step I've got a nice cohesive mixture. And no gluten's being developed at that point. I'm not over aerating it, but we're going to make sure it's starting to dissolve and make a nice mixture. And then the sifted cake flour is going to go in all at once at the end. It's going to be lightly whisked in and then finished with a spatula. And then I have options. I can bake it immediately, which I'm going to do with 1 or 2 ramekins. So I'm going to take off the labels now and get rid of all of the lids and put the labels right over here on the countertop so that I don't lose them until I am done. Because if I make a mistake, I'm not paying attention, I'm not focused, something goes wrong, I have these here until I know and can confirm that I have everything over here. And I'm going to take the lids off of my deli cups. And I'm going to do all the pre-work. We'll melt the chocolate, the butter with the salt. I will sift the 10X and I will combine the eggs, and that will get me organized. And as you can see, I rely heavily on this physicality. This keeps me so organized, and it's really a way that I use to actually control the chaos and the anxiety. It's not something that creates anxiety for me. It actually alleviates all of my anxiety. And you can see back here, this is like my whole storage system basically, and it barely takes up any room. And I use these deli cups over and over again until they crack. And they're not great in the microwave, but they can handle 15-second blasts. And when they crack, I get rid of them, and I've been using them for years, and I love them. All right, so let me get a couple things here. Get a spatula. I'm going to add the egg to the yolk, and then I'm gonna stir it. And I'm not gonna aerate it a ton. Look at those beautiful farm yolks. I am gonna break up the yolks. And I just want, look at that. That is the protein holding together. I call it the plooping. That's when, that's all the protein holding it tight. So as you break an egg apart, you're really breaking apart the protein structure and starting to break it up a bit. So I am keeping my fork on the bottom of the deli cup. I'm not aerating, I'm not lifting it up, I'm not purposely aerating. And I'm trying to make sure that I don't have any globs. And we do this to get us closer to a cohesive finished product. Eggs are TCS, which means they're time temperature sensitive for bacterial growth and safety. So we want to make sure to not touch the egg. And if we do, we need to wash our hands. So then I'm going to put the chocolate and the salt into this bowl and the butter. These bowls are Cambro bowls. I buy them at Restaurant Depot, but you can get them a lot of places. And I would not microwave them a long time. But the way that I microwave and melt chocolate, always, I never do it on a bain-marie, is to use the microwave. I do a 30-second start, and then after that, it's 15 seconds at a time so that I don't overdo it. These are an emulsion. So our goal in this whole process is to keep things cohesive and to avoid graininess. So if you overheat this mixture, or if you overheat the mixture as we move forward, if you pop it back in the microwave because it becomes a little too cold, it's just not going to be good. So you put a grainy, broken emulsion into the oven, and that's what you're going to be eating. So we want to make sure that every step is good. I like to use a spatula that fits into the bowl so it fits into my microwave. So I'm using this as a sifter. I often use a Tammy, but I'm going to use this today. And because we're doing it in order and I need this first, I'm going to do the 10X first. I sift it directly onto this parchment for ease because I can pick the parchment up and use it as a funnel. But I like to use a dry spatula to help me get the ingredients out. Obviously I can't use the one that has the butter on it, but also I don't like using my hands. I like to keep things clean. So I can push this through without making a mess using a dry spatula. But in the summertime, what ends up happening, because sugar is hygroscopic, is even if you buy 10X or sugar at the grocery store, it can often get hard or get lumps in it. And that's because it is absorbing the moisture that lives in the air. And we have had a very humid summer, and I try to buy as little as possible to stay on top of it. But that is what happens. There we go. Okay. So that is my 10X all ready to go. Let me get a towel to keep things clean. So this is what this looks like after 45 seconds. I am only going to do 15-second increments because I do not want to scorch anything. If you scorch the chocolate, you have to throw it away. You will not ever get rid of that scorched flavor. So what I'm going to do is not over stir it. The crystals that live inside of chocolate don't like to be overly stirred. So I'm going to be very careful, and I don't want hot spots in my bowl. So I'm really just checking the bowl to ensure that the chocolate isn't stuck anywhere. So as you can see, there's still lumps. I'm not concerned. It's going back in the microwave, 15 seconds. All right, let me double check. All right, I need a whisk. The other day I used a smaller whisk. I'm going to use a bigger one tonight. This is fine. And it is a relatively, it's not thick or thin batter, but this was a little too narrow, so I'm going to use a little bit wider. All whisks are different. Some are firmer and some are very floppy. So this is after 15 more seconds. So again, I'm going to be just going underneath it. I'm not stirring as much as I am making sure that things are off of the bottom. All right, so I'm going to stir it up. Because the warmth of what's in here, I mean, think about it. If you put a piece of chocolate in your hand, it's going to start to melt. So is butter. It has a very low melt point. So you want to make sure that, look at that, it's already creamier. That the heat that lives in here now is still melting the chocolate. So you don't have to overdo it to get the same result. And then we are going to add the 10X first in thirds, and then the eggs, and then the flour last. So if you're doing this along with me, we are so close to almost being done. That's how fast this cake is. Look at that. You can see it's shiny. And if I just run the spatula across the bottom, I can find the lumps. Okay, so I'm going to go back and forth and just make sure. And I think this needs to go in for one more 15-second blast, but in theory, I could just leave it and the warmth would melt it out, but because I'm moving forward, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the microwave, and I could do 10 seconds. And just like everything, some people's microwaves are very powerful. Mine is not incredibly powerful, but if you have a powerful microwave or you're concerned in any way, just do 50% power. That is often what's done in the pastry shop. There we go. Looks beautiful, shiny. It's not grainy, not gritty. I'm just gonna go around and make sure. Okay, beautiful. And there's the butters in here, and I also have a larger spatula I use to get the butter in here, so I'm going to get rid of this little guy. Okay, so we're going to do the 10X first. I'm going to get the chocolate down into the bowl to keep it clean. This is my parchment with the 10X on it. I'm going to lift it up like this. You don't want to put it back into a container after you've sifted it because you will recompress it. I'm going to take a third and sprinkle it around, and then I'm going to tilt the parchment like that. That's off. On, off. Very easy. And then I'm going to take a whisk and I'm going to fold using the whisk. And when you do your first two inclusions, always, you don't have to go all the way. There may be streaks. That's okay. It might not all be included. That's okay. You don't want to overdo it. So I'm going to leave it. And then on the second one, so you want your third inclusion to kind of be the smallest amount. So while it is thirds, you want to be aware that if you're estimating, to kind of lean on the first one being the largest and the smallest being the last. And I'm going to lift and turn the bowl. And this action helps incorporate things without having to overwork it. We don't stir, we lift. And I'm looking, you can see grains, but it is not grainy. This is going to dissolve relatively quick. That's why we're using the 10X. And then on this same parchment, I will be sifting the cake flour. So I'm going to continue to add the 10X with the whisk. And when this is mostly incorporated, I'm going to switch to, not mostly, but right now, when I don't see as much. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to switch to the spatula. And very quickly, I'm going to sift my cake flour. This should go through much easier and more quickly than the 10X because it's not hygroscopic. It's not sugar, it's wheat. So it's not going to absorb moisture from the air the way sucrose does. So then I'm going to take my larger spatula. This is what it looks like. I'm going to show you how smooth it gets. I'm going to properly fold in these ingredients. And I'm not overworking the gluten right now because the gluten is inside the flour. It is potential. So it's not wet yet, doesn't have any moisture. So I'm going to show you how this looks. Nice and glistening. You can tell that it's already absorbing the sugar from the 10X. Okay, so it's not grainy. Doesn't need to go back in the microwave. I can still feel warmth. And then I'm going to add the eggs in thirds. Oh, you know what? I can stick with the, I'm going to stick with the whisk for my eggs. I shouldn't have switched. Doesn't hurt anything, but that's all you. So I'm going to switch to the whisk, especially with the eggs. So again, we're going to add a third of the eggs. I am going to fold, a folding action. I'm not necessarily avoiding adding air, but I am not whipping this. I'm not aerating it. This loosened up right away. The next third. It's starting to get shinier. It's loosening up. The eggs have emulsifiers that live in the yolks. That's why there's extra yolks on top of the eggs because they do so much emulsifying naturally from the lecithin that lives in an egg yolk. And there we go. So the flour is going in all at once. We want to get this in gently because we don't want to overdevelop the gluten, whatever gluten is in here. So I am going to start with the whisk and then we will switch to the spatula. Oh my gosh. I can see it dissolving. And if I felt like it had gotten too cool, if this was like winter time or my kitchen was cooler, I would put it in the microwave for 10 seconds. I'm going to pick up the ingredients because I don't need them. And I'm going to take my handy dandy spatula and I'm going to finish folding this in. Not only am I folding this in, but I am using the spatula to feel the bottom of the bowl. I really want to make sure that nothing is stuck. I don't have dry bits of flour or anything at the bottom of the bowl. Okay, there we go. So from here, we have options. This is when this recipe becomes very interesting. Okay, we can do a couple things. We can put the batter into a pastry bag. This is a large disposable pastry bag that is not cut that I put in here. And we can pour the batter into here. and cover it and refrigerate it overnight and use it tomorrow. And I have some that I made. I made this yesterday and I'm going to be baking it. I'm going to show you the difference. But one benefit of letting the batter rest overnight is that the flour hydrates, which is good because you get a more cohesive mix. And this is great for production. You could make this today and then serve this dessert on Saturday and serve it from here. So I can use a scoop or a spoon or whatever out of here to make the cake. And I'm just gonna put this on the counter for now, let it come up a little bit because it's pretty firm. Or I can pour this mixture into the bag, tighten it, wrap the bag upside down and then put a lid on it. And then this will also just go in the refrigerator. That way I can use this to pipe into my ramekins 100 grams. So there's a lot of different options, or you could freeze this and then pull it into the refrigerator when you're ready to use it, let it go overnight, and then you're ready to bake it. So this is something that has legs. There's so many ways you can incorporate it into your schedule to make it easy. I would not scoop the batter into a ramekin and then freeze that, because you are going to get an exchange. Even if it's just the butter, if it's the sucrose, there will be some kind of ingredient exchange of moisture and whatnot. So I wouldn't do that, but there are a lot of ways to make this work if you're very busy or if you want to plan ahead. So I think what I will do, that's not too big of a mix. I think I will pour this into here because I'm going to use this to pour into the ramekin. And I have 2 ramekins that I'm going to use that I've already buttered. And I'm going to do one without the sugar, and then I'll do the second one with the sugar. So I'm going to do a couple iterations of this cake so that you can see that you have options and that this is not something that you make one time and you throw all 6 of them into the oven. You can do one at a time, dial in your oven, dial in the amount that you put into here. Maybe you like using the batter right after you mix it. You like the texture of that batter. Maybe you like it when it's rested overnight and it's cold. So these are ways to test in your little ramekins a little bit at a time. So I'm going to put all of it into here for now, because when I'm done with this, because I am going to be using the cold, I can put this into my ready-made pastry bag and then have that tomorrow. Let's see how clean I can get this in here. All right. I like a pourable pitcher. It makes things a lot easier. Plus you'll get to see how thick and fluid the cake is. I spilled a little bit on this side, but that's okay. Looks pretty good. So I have about 3 cups. So I have the oven preheated to 350. Actually, I put on 355, which quite honestly is 360 because of my oven, and I always use an oven thermometer. I don't rely on guessing or, I don't own the oven. We rent, so it's not my oven, so I have to do whatever I can to make it work. But I am going to pour this 2/3 of the way in. And then I'm going to put it in the oven. And this is just a buttered ramekin. And I'm going to test this at 8 minutes. Okay? I often see people banging on things to get it to be smooth or overworking it. You do not need to do that. We just incorporated air. We just made a perfect mixture, so we don't want to go banging it around. But I want to look and make sure it's clean. There's a little piece of chocolate that dripped on the side, so this should be nice and clean. And then we are going to go over to my oven where I'm going to put this in. I turn the light on and set the timer for 8 minutes. We'll see how lava you can get. 8 minutes. So next time, if I have to do 9 minutes, we'll do 9 minutes, and we will continue to dial it in. So I'm going to prepare the plate. I need to put the ice cream in the refrigerator. To get ice cream to the right temperature that you can do a nice little canal or something, it helps to put it in the refrigerator for 20 minutes. That way you don't get it all melted on the outside. It's still hard in the middle. You get like a nice tempering. I'm gonna do something kind of fun. Here is my canal spoon. This is just a scraper for a cake. I'm gonna use it to do a little bit of a dusting on each side of the plate. So tonight I have vanilla ice cream, and then I made caramelized cocoa nibs the other day. And I mean, it's been everything I can do not to eat these. And they're insane. So you need something crunchy. You need something maybe cold because you have a warm cake, and then you want cold ice cream and you want something crunchy. And you can use any number of things. And you want to pair flavors. So you can do coffee flavor, caramel, whatever you want. And you can add fruits and things like that. So I'm just keeping it vanilla ice cream and the crunch so you can see, but let me show you. So I have some, this is my vanilla bean powdered sugar, heavy duty. So I'm gonna take a little bit of powdered sugar and a little bit of cocoa powder that I already have in a little container here. I like to use the back side of a bench scraper control. So I have this at about half. And I'm going to tap, tap, tap. And this is just to make the plate look pretty. This is how easy it is. I'm going to take this and look, it's half. And I'm going to put this on this side like that. And I don't even really need this, but believe it or not, by tapping it, you actually have a lot more control. And the breeze is blowing that way, so it's kind of helping me. I want a little heavier right here. There we go. Put these over here. And this is what it looks like. All right, so I am going to put my cake right in the middle of this. It's just going to look pretty. And I'm going to sprinkle it with the cocoa nibs. And I have a lot of little ones, but then for fun, you can take, if any of them are stuck together, and then this can go on the top or on the side. So you can make things look pretty with very minimal effort, for real. So I am going to take the ramekin off of the tray with some tongs so that I'm safe. So I'll pull it off the hot tray, turn it upside down, and I will have to lift it up because it's coming right out of the oven. I'm going to go ahead and finish plating it, and then we'll look into it with a spoon, and then I'll make a determination about how we're going to move forward with the very next one. So I might be turning up the oven, I might be baking it longer at the same temp, but I'm going to make some changes. So yeah, we're moving along. All right, how many minutes do we have left? 2:45. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get the next ramekin ready. And if you recall, all I did was put butter in here, and this is what I'm gonna do. I'm going to get an extra bowl and a scooper, and I'm going to scoop. I'm always, again, you know, cross-contamination is a real thing, so you don't really wanna put the sugar back into the sugar container. So I'm going to sprinkle it around like this, and then go ahead and tap it out. And if I didn't get all parts, which I didn't because I was goofing around, you want to make sure it's even. And if you have to use a tool, it helps to tap it. There you go, look how pretty. Now I think if you want, you can use raw sugar. That's yet another thing you could do to make it kind of interesting, or like a vanilla sugar. So it's endless, the different layering in of flavor. People will often say, you know, can you add espresso to that? Can you add this? Can you change the flavor? I would say look at it foundationally. How can you add flavor in ways that doesn't change the ingredient function? Because powdered espresso is going to change even the instant good kind. Or if you know, get a shot of espresso and add it, you're adding water. So you have to be really careful. But if I had vanilla bean sugar or raw sugar, it's really not going to change anything other than the texture. So I'm matching the ingredient function. So I'm not going to pour the batter in here ahead of time because the moisture that lives in the batter will exchange with the sucrose and cause it to melt because it's hygroscopic. So I'm going to wait, and I am going to do the next one with the same batter, and then my next test will be the refrigerated, and then I'm going to go ahead and do, because I think that'll be I'll have 2 more ramekins, so we'll decide what we want to do moving forward. So what I'm hoping is that when I pull this cake out of the oven and I cut into it, we're all like, wow, that was perfect, because then we're good to go. And then it'll be the perfect foil to see if the cold cooks the same way. So it's always fun. I have a lot of fun. There's no wrong if you're thoughtfully doing some testing, as long as you're only changing one thing at a time. So I would not use this cold and change the temperature of the oven. I'm going to use the same batter. The sugar isn't going to affect the bake, and I'm going to bake it at a higher temperature. That's one change. And if you do one change, you can dial in your recipes. That is the definition of dialing it in. The raw sugar would be great. I think that would be fun, and it looks really pretty. It is a throwback dessert. I was talking about it at the beginning. A lot of people aren't huge fans of it. So let me go get it. Oh, it's pretty liquidy. too liquidy, I can tell. So I think the next batch I'm going to do at a higher temperature, but I'm going to give this 4 minutes. I'm glad I didn't pour the batter because it's good. Now I didn't show it to you. Maybe I can, but it is so wet. It's not an if thing. It's not if, it's definitely and. Can you see how liquidy it is? Liquidy and shiny. So it's going. I don't even think 4 minutes is gonna do it. So that's interesting. I think we're going up to 375. Now there were a lot of recipes that bake them at 400. And if you have a convection oven and you do 350, that's 25 degrees hotter than my oven. Plus you have the forced fan, which is gonna dry it out much faster. I'm experimenting. I want you to think about, what is this telling you about what you're looking for? Because I never tell people 350 for 10 minutes. You have to understand that your ingredients are different than mine. The humidity in your home is different than mine. The oven is extremely different. And what if I'm using a larger ramekin than you? Or a ramekin that's made out of a different material than the one I'm using? Or you're using silicone, okay? These things all impact your final bake temperature and bake time. The cue for when it's ready is typically, I've dialed it in. Honestly, I did this cake for an exam once. And I did it so many times that when I did my exam, I knew at whatever temperature for 9 minutes, when I pulled it out, it was going to be judge ready, examiner ready. So I have to dial this in. So as soon as I get this out, I'm going to crank up the heat and then we're going to bake another one. So the cue when it's ready is that the outside has a nice crust, but again, it's like you don't know until you crack into it. When you crack into it, you want it to flow. So if I go and I'm like, it needs 1 more minute, I write a note. That's why I print out my recipes and I take notes. So I'll be writing all this down so that I know in the future. Does this have molten lava in the middle too? This is just a cake that will be molten lava because it has been formulated to do that. I don't add anything. It's an incredible formula. I don't have to do anything to it other than bake it properly and it will molten for me. All right, it's a little too soft. I'm gonna give it 2 minutes and then I'm gonna pull it. And it could be a disaster. It could be really, really too soft. It's too soft now. That's gonna give us a good idea. You're gonna take the ramekin off the tray and turn it over and we're gonna open it up. If it falls apart, it's like, whoa, I'm 4 minutes away. But if it's solid on the outside and then I break into it with my spoon, it should be molten on the inside. So you don't have to add ganache. You don't have to underbake cake. You have to have the right formula. And when I put this together, I talked about all the different ingredients. And what they do is they allow you to get a nice exterior crust and the interior stays soft. It's the perfect ratio of all the ingredients, the perfect type of ingredients that create the synergy that gives you the chocolate lava cake. You do unmold it immediately, exactly, and this is meant to be baked and eaten right away. That is how it's designed. So let me take you with me. I think it needs 2 more minutes. So we did 8 plus 4 plus 2 more. So that's 14 minutes. So I'm going to be increasing the temperature. I'm gonna wait a minute and then we're gonna put the next one in. I need to get more oomph. I need to get the exterior set more quickly in a shorter period of time. We don't eat it cold, you eat it warm. That's how it's served. This is not intended to be served after any amount of time. It literally has to be baked and served. That's why you build in refrigeration ahead of time. You can make it the day or 2 ahead, but once you bake it, you have to serve it. That's the beauty of it. Okay, I'm gonna just get it out because we're gonna dump it out. I'm turning up the oven. I'm turning it up to 380 because that gets me to 375. All right, I can tell it's lifted up a bit. It's starting to come above the top. You can see a lot of the butter is bubbling. And you can see a little bit of a crust, but we don't know. All right, so I'm gonna take my pretty plate that I made that's got 2 sides, and I'm gonna turn this upside down. The goal is to not burn myself. Oh, it's too soft. There we go, right away. You see that? It went splursh. All right, so here's what we're gonna look at. So this is how we're gonna identify. So I am gonna go up, and I think we'll get it done faster. So the exterior has some crust right here. That is cake-like. Let me get a spoon. So we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, We have cake, yes, a little bit, but too much molten. So we need that to happen faster. That was just too slow. But I better make sure it tastes good. Yeah. It's not a bland chocolate, but it's not meant to be sweet at all or bitter. It is meant to be a backdrop and to have other components with it. So that's the first iteration. All right, so we'll give it another go. I'm gonna give it just a minute. I don't believe my timer. The timer, the buzzer, it just tells you. I can go look at the temperature, but I don't think it's hot. It's not. So it still needs another 5 minutes. If you can dial this cake in, put it into a pan, a ramekin, a silicone little, in the oven, you're talking 8 or 9 minutes. That's ideal. That's why I'm bringing the temperature up to get the time closer together. It took too long at a low temp, so I'm trying to bring those two things together. It looks good, but it's underbaked. So we're not gonna be afraid we're gonna burn it. Here's how I think, and I want you to think like a baker, think like a pastry chef. All the recipes that I read, I've used this a bunch, and I got a new oven because the old one died, so my landlord got me a new oven. So I haven't made it in this oven. So in reading all my notes, and it ranges from 350 to 400. So what do? You have to pick a lane, and then you do one at a time. So I picked 350. It's way too low. Way too low. This is way too low. So I'm gonna go up to 375, that's halfway, split the difference, and then we'll see what time we get. I'm not gonna change any other variable. I think we're gonna have really good luck with that. So I kinda wanted to do it at 375, but I knew if I did and it didn't work, then I would be like, oh, let's turn it down, and so whatever. So I started low. The next ramekin at a higher temperature. So I have the same batter. I'm gonna fill it up exactly the same amount. Actually, I'm gonna use a scoop. So I have a green scoop. Let's see if this scoop works. See if it's the right size. Into the ramekin. That looks good to me. Could be maybe a little bit bigger, but we're gonna leave it there. I'm just gonna go put this in the oven. We have a hotter oven. It's a little bit hot. We are gonna go ahead and do 8 minutes. Emulate the last one. We're gonna do everything the same. The next one I'm gonna do will be a refrigerated one because I think we'll be able to get this dialed in. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my ramekins. So I'm prepping my ramekins for my chocolate lava cake, and we're gonna dial this in right now, like right here. Before we go, I'm gonna know exactly how long my oven takes to make this work. So the next one, I'm gonna do the chilled, and I might do 2. We'll see how that one looks, but I can prep raw sugar just to show you how pretty that looks. I have high hopes for the cake that is in the oven right now. I'm gonna go ahead and butter these real quick, and then we'll be ready to go. Gotta make sure to get the corners, be nice and neat. I like to keep my brush clean. It doesn't need to be all over. You should be able to pick up someone else's pastry brush and it shouldn't be covered in mess. It should be nice and clean. A lava cake is similar to a souffle. It's a similar concept. Souffle uses egg whites mostly to give you the leavening, and you want them to creep up the sides of your container and be above it. And it really needs the right structure because it's gonna rise above the ramekin and it has to be able to survive without collapsing, right? This is kind of a little bit different but similar in that we want the outside of the cake to be baked, but we want the inside to stay soft and lava-y. So it's all about controlling the exact structure, which you get from using a really good formula, and how long you bake, what temperature you're baking at. These things all matter. It's very interesting. If I were just doing this for myself, I probably would do a souffle so that I could internalize some of the learning. So if you're at home and you're thinking, how can I connect the dots? That might be a nice way to do it. Okay, so these are ready to go. Just put them right here. But I have a cake in the oven and it's going to be done in about 3.5 minutes, and we're going to assess it. And I'm going to switch to this batter, which was in the refrigerator and rested overnight. It's not going to give me an enormously different result. It's going to be subtle, and I'm into the subtleties of difference. And this one, maybe if it turns out, we'll put some ice cream on it. All right, I'm really hopeful for this cake. And I'm hoping to put ice cream on it. I'm gonna put sugar into a ramekin. Just like so, just shake it around, twirl it, get it around, tap, tap, and it should look nice. There shouldn't be any bare spots. This will be our next bake. So if you're doing this and you don't know about your oven, the answer is one at a time. Take the time. It helps. Is the sugar necessary or just for flavor? It's not for flavor, actually, it's for texture. It adds a tiny bit of crunch. It's completely optional. All right, let me go look at this and see what we're dealing with here. Turn off the timer. All right, it's still a little wet. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm going to do 5 minutes. So after we get this out of the oven, my last bake is going to be at 400. I'm gonna try not to worry too much about, is that too hot? I recommend baking one at a time, starting high. If you have convection, use it. So I would start at 375 to 400. So that's what we've learned tonight. The high heat will really get to the steam. Now, there are caveats. If you're using a silicone mold, it's going to slow down the bake. Anytime you make a decision, is my batter cold? Am I using silicone? Am I putting the ramekin onto a silicone mat? These things are going to slow down the bake. My oven, it's propane. I used to be, I don't like gas ovens. And then I was like, I don't like propane and I wish I had electric, and we rent. So I don't have the luxury of picking my oven. So I do my best. If this was something I was going to be making for friends, I would make a big batch and I would test until I get there, and then I would write down 375 for 12 minutes, boom, done. And then when you serve, you can do all 6 at one time and you know they're all going to be good. This particular, all I can say about this formula, this recipe formula, it is meant to be baked and eaten immediately. You can make it ahead and store the batter uncooked in the refrigerator or the freezer, but you have to serve it as soon as it's baked. Sometimes I don't know what's going on, even though I'm on social media, I don't really follow the trends because I'm clearly more interested in ingredient function, which is not trendy. It's old-fashioned. It doesn't change. It's just what it is. It's kind of, the ingredient's gonna ingredient, you know? There might be cakes out there, is what I'm guessing, that are underbaked, and that's kind of a fun thing, but you've got food safety, sanitation issues, structural issues, and I just don't like that kind of a gimmick. So this is cooked thoroughly. The interior is lava. It is hot. If you were to temp it, it's perfectly safe to eat. All right, we're getting close. I added an extra minute. All right, I'm gonna go get it and bring it right here and turn it out onto a plate, and then we're gonna get the next batch in. Because the final batch, I'll be able to make the plates all look pretty, and we'll do all 4 of them. So this is just gonna be plain. Let's see, yep, that looks good. So puffed up a little bit, I'm sure it's done. I think it's probably, you guys are, oh, I thought I took you with me, I'm so sorry. Look at that, see, so it's up a little bit. I think we're gonna have good luck here. All right, so I'm gonna take it, and I'm gonna turn over the ramekin. Oop, there we go. I'll wait to do the ice cream for the next one. You can sprinkle on the nibs and the ice cream, whatever, but let's see what this looks like, because I think we have it dialed in. How many minutes was that? Damn it. All right, let's see. I swear, I'm the worst. I'm trying my best. This is all so new to me. I'm used to being in person, and even when I'm demoing, I can take notes and kind of do my own thing. Okay, so look, we have a really solid, you guys vote. Is it gonna have the lava inside or not? Okay. Up, it's not, it is leavening. Up, it is. Okay, perfect, perfection. All right, so now you guys need to tell me how many minutes was that. All right, so here's what we have going on. Here's what we have going on. Do you see the cake on the outside? Ow, it's really hot. Bubbles. You've got the crunch of the sugar. It's really hot. And let's see. Okay. So you see the cake is fully baked. You see it's fully baked on the edges and the top. Perfect. This is wonderful. I'm very happy with this. Now I need to do it again. This is why I take notes, people. There you go. Perfection. Wonderful. So the next ones will look pretty, and I'll put ice cream on them. Let's taste it. I like the amount of lava. I like that it's lava-y on one side, but on the other it's finished. So it's very hot. Love the crunch. You can let it sit a moment. You don't have to turn it over like I did. And maybe next time I'll give it one beat. But we're gonna do all 4. I'm gonna show you how I plate all 4 very quickly. Let me make sure I have a cold tray. And these are all gonna go on the same tray. I'm very excited. So here's some earmarks, okay? It puffed up a little bit, looked more set, and it was fine. It was good in the middle. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna use this and this. I'm gonna use one or the other, and we haven't used this one. Should be fine, it's been sitting on the counter. It's not like ice cold. And I'm going to do a generous scoop using the green scoop into my ramekin. This batter is, look at that. Looks like a cookie scoop. So way different than the other one. Anything I have left over, I can freeze. Isn't that amazing? Get all of the batter. So this does, it makes a good amount. This makes about 4 of them, so that you know. I'm just making a mess. I'm not gonna smoosh these down or move them. They're good on their own. All right, I'm excited. I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do with this last part. So look at this. So exciting. Don't those look great? So you can pull that out of the refrigerator, scoop, scoop, and into the oven. So easy. All right, I'm gonna put them in for 15 minutes. I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna store the next batch, because this is fascinating. I'm gonna take, this is a pastry bag that I have put into a deli cup, and I've seen people say, pastry chefs don't really do this. Well, they actually do, for real. I'm gonna put the batter that I made today into this pastry bag. I'm gonna show you how I'm going to store it. I can freeze it if I want. And then pull it into the refrigerator when I need to use it. And then when I use this batter, the next time I can just pipe it right out of this bag. Amazing. To get any more convenience out of this, I don't know what to tell you. You have to bake it to serve it. If you let it sit, it's gonna continue to cook, and it's just not gonna taste right. It's gonna lose the perfect, it's a combination of things that makes this so good. All right, done, done, done. So you see how the testing is, it's not a setback. It is part of the process, and I never look at what I'm doing as I'm in a hurry, I want to get it done, I'm rushing, I'm hacking, I'm cheating, I'm the best or the last one you'll ever have, or this is perfection, or my gosh, you guys are going to love this. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with, if you want a chocolate lava cake, there are steps you are going to have to think about in terms of ingredients, their function, the order in which you incorporate them, the temperature they are at, how you store them, how you bake them, and how you serve them. The whole darn thing matters. So that's all I can say. It all matters. So we're going to lift up this bag, which has not been cut. It's completely intact. I'm going to bowl scraper and just get this into here, clean it up, and I'm going to twist it like this, and then I'm going to put it into this deli cup. I'm going to push the top down, and then I'm going to close it. This is ready whenever I need it, and next time, if I want, I could put the ramekin on a scale and pipe 100 grams of this, or I can just squeeze it and eyeball it. So that's my lava cake. I think we've had enough lava cake today. I'm gonna put this in the freezer. How does that sound? And then I'm gonna get some stuff ready for our a little plated dessert here. Let me see how my ice cream's doing. Oh, it feels good. It feels really good. So let's do a couple pretty plates. It can be in the fridge for up to 3 days, I would say. Because again, we don't have baking powder or any chemical leaveners in there. I would do up to 3 days. It isn't a race. It is about enjoying the process. I'm not interested in just getting to the finish line. For me, I love go time. I love when I've scaled everything and I'm ready to go and I get to just stand here. That's when I get flow and I relax. I really enjoy it quite a bit. And just do this. And you can just dust them with the powder when you're all done, just over the whole thing lightly, or do like I did with the split. I am waiting for this to come out of the oven so we can see it, and I have high hopes. I think I put it in 15 minutes and it's gonna need 17, but I'm gonna check it in 3 minutes. We're waiting for something to come out of the oven. It's a chocolate lava cake, and then I'm gonna plate it up with some ice cream and stuff and eat in front of you, basically. Let us see. Nope. I did only 15. I'm gonna add 5 minutes. And you know what? That was a little bit colder and thicker. So of course that's going to add more time. So I hope you're not all thinking, what is she doing? She doesn't know how to bake. I do. These are all different. I am showing you in real time to how to think like a baker, how to test your recipes. And if you take nothing else away, this is what you need to take away. There is no easy answer, and there is not one answer to your question. What time, for how long, what part of the oven? I mean, the variables are infinite. And so you need to be the one thinking and problem solving the entire time. That is the one thing I want you to take away. Ingredients are expensive. All right, these look done. So I'm gonna put this over here. I'm gonna let them sit just a moment. Look at, they're kind of wet in the middle. They're like donut-y, kind of like a souffle. So I have some work dialing this in. I'm gonna let this sit just one moment. I'm gonna get my ice cream, and we're gonna make some really pretty plates. So I have my ice cream in my fridge. Here's my hot water and my ice cream. This is McConnell's Fine Ice Cream, RR Lockhead Vanilla Bean. I've had this before, it's really good. My crunchy caramelized cocoa nibs. All right, let's flip these over. You guys see what I'm doing? I'll flip them and leave them. They're looking pretty firm on the exterior. There we go. So this one may not have been buttered as well. Oh, there it is. Got it. These to me look amazing. First, I will put the ice cream on, and then we will add the dusting. A little hot water. These won't be perfect, but I will do my best. You don't have to put the ice cream on top. You can just put it on the side. That one's not going to stay on. All right, there we go. Put the ice cream away. Yum, I'll eat that tomorrow with my cookie. I have the hot waters done. So like I said, what I can do is take a cocoa nib that's stuck together and place it on top, make it look a little prettier, like a bigger piece. Or the plate. Sprinkle a little bit. These look so pretty. And the cocoa nibs are an intense flavor, so they really add a nice texture, but the flavor is very complimentary. And then I will take a tiny bit of cocoa powder, just a little bit. There we go. That is it. We're gonna cut into these. Let's see what we've got going on here. Take off my apron. So then we get to eat a little lava cake. All right, so here is one. And it is very, you can see it's very finished on the exterior. So we will cut into it. There's the inside. Absolutely beautiful. Let's do another one. All right, look how pretty this looks. I mean, beautiful. If someone served this to me, warm out of the oven after a nice meal, I mean, my gosh. I'm gonna cut into it and then pull it apart. There we go, there's the lava part. This one does not have the ice cream on the top because I want to show you the edges. So we will cut into it and I will show you what this looks like from this side. All right, let's see. So look at how this is cooked. You can see the solid edges. So it's hollow in the middle, cooked on the edge. I think I'll eat this one. Comes my dog. This cake is not overly sweet. It's intended to be served with sides. It's not meant to be the whole thing. You know, sweet and satisfy everything. It's meant to be combined with these things. I mean, it's good. It's So I've shown you how to make it, how to plate it, what to expect in terms of flavor and texture.
Word on the street is there's some lava cake.
Right here. Here's my husband, Dave.
This for me?
It's beautiful. You want to go behind me and show people what you like about it? This is my husband, Dave. Tell us what you think.
The plate's still warm.
So again, don't expect this to be super sweet. And if you really want to know details about what to expect, go to the Substack and read all the details. But that's it. That's all I've got. I have 3 plates of this that we need to eat all of this now, see? What
Challenge
are you gonna do?
accepted.
Yeah, challenge. You want more ice cream? It's really good.
It's really good with all the
here, this one has the
combination of like the hot and the cold.
And the crunch.
And the crunch, yeah, the toasty crunch for those nibs.
Yep.
It's like
the crunch
4
is
different
really
things
important.
going on at one time.
Mm-hmm.
Not just for breakfast anymore.
Oh, so good. I mean, would you recommend this to everybody?
Would you call this an easy recipe? Is it just a lot of steps?
I think it is easy. I think the hardest part is dialing in your oven. It's so good, I don't even know what to say. So here, you can finish all of it. There you go. let me wrap this up with
so
everyone.
good. Highly recommended.
There you go. That's Dave's professional moderator opinion. All right, well, I had a wonderful time. I appreciate all of you hanging in there with the testing. There is a world where I can make these recipes and make everything appear perfection and easy and not show you the process. But because my intention is to teach, I want you to see how I think and how I approach when one thing happens, how I respond. People have asked, well, why did you do the brookie cookie when you said you liked it one day and then the next you didn't? And I say, look at my face. Look at how I was reacting while baking it the second time. I was like, that's weird, that's weird. So to question, to take notes, to have a desired outcome and how are you going to get there, this is not something that is a list of things you follow, a time, a temperature. It's a thought process. It's critical thinking and you're engaging your whole self. I'm a teacher. We all learn differently. Some hear, some see, some have to be doing, some do a combination of things. So I'm here to help you fill in the gaps. If you think about it, if someone says, what caused this? And I say, well, what do you think caused it? It's funny because people will come up with the answer 90% of the time because we actually know a lot. We're just afraid sometimes to make that leap. So use your intuition, build systems, critically think, approach things with some care. And I am not opposed to people throwing stuff in a bowl and having a good time. And of course, it doesn't taste bad. But if you are interested in what it feels like to do a process where you learn and you're frustrated and then you have success, it's just everything. So challenge yourself, stick with it, don't give up, do small batches, scale 3 times in a row, do it back to back, and make learning exciting. Because, I mean, baking is something that we can all learn. I'm learning every day. It's just every time I go to look at my notes, to reformulate my approach, I'm learning more. It's exciting. All right, I'm gonna get going. It's getting late. Keep sweet. I will. I'm going to eat the rest of this chocolate cake. Honestly, am I going to eat more of this? I'm probably going to take one more bite and then put it away. But then for breakfast, I might have a little ice cream. I don't know. I had the best time tonight. This is getting easier. It's so fun. And I really look forward to seeing everybody. And so many of you are familiar faces and you're building a community and even getting together in real life. And it's just unbelievable. Thank you all. I appreciate everybody so much. I've had such a good time. It's exciting because you're actually watching me learn and experiment. I could hide the mistakes, but I'd rather just be honest and let you guys see how I respond because I've worked in a lot of professional kitchens and it's never perfect. Just because someone's a professional, they put a cookie and it comes out right. I mean, ovens be ovening. Like everything is just challenging when you bake. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Happy baking. Thank you for coming. Happy baking. Bye, POPers. You guys are the best baking club ever.